In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. In the new scene, we see that the light of Illuminati is initially shining on the ground in the form of yin-yang, which is a famous symbol in infidel schools of thought in ancient China. The light gradually turns into a circle. Underneath the light, we then see a column of dark tanks approaching directly down the valley. The Illuminati's all-seeing eye is visible in front of each tank with the pictures of a mouth and set of teeth opening and closing. In this instance, a girl who has the image of a tiger on the back of her clothes runs towards the tanks with anger in her face while moving a wild flag in order to stop the advancement of the tanks. However, the tanks do not stop and carry on forward. In this moment, a skeleton with a hand wearing a ring with a diamond gemstone hits the girl on the back. The girl turns around furiously and looks at the skeleton. The skeleton is wearing a red cloak around its shoulders and a hat on which a chamomile flower is attached. Purple fireworks go on and off in the dark night sky behind the skeleton. After seeing the skeleton, the girl becomes more relaxed and retreats from her actions. This scene is one of the complicated scenes of the iPad Go-To animation and should be examined in various layers. In the first layer of this scene, it seems that an important portion of the messages and codes being transmitted is related to China and the end times. Many elements point towards this notion. For example, in the beginning of the scene, the light of the Illuminati shines in the form of yin-yang and then fades. In addition, the movement of the girl in front of the column of tanks is similar to the real event in China called the Protest of the Tank Man in the Tiananmen region, which we shall discuss in the following paragraphs. On the other hand, the aforementioned girl's name is Sun Tzu, which is a Chinese name. Furthermore, the picture of the tiger on the girl's clothes is again one of the well-known Chinese symbols in their pictures and paintings. Hence, we realize after this layer of analysis that this scene is about China at time of the apocalypse. In the second layer, we should point towards the overall atmosphere of this scene. We see the movements of the tanks on the one hand and the fact that mountains around them resemble the skeleton's ribs. This scene's layout reminds us of the Valley of the Shadow of Death in Psalm 23 of David, in Old Testament of the Bible. Furthermore, at the end of this scene, we see the purple fireworks in the sky behind the skeleton, which is cryptically indicating that some important events related to China shall happen around the new year. This could be linked with the pandemic of COVID-19 at the beginning of 2020, around the Christian New Year and the Chinese New Year, end of January and beginning of February, which started from China, which we shall discuss in more depth later on. In the third layer analysis, it seems that the Chinese girl's movement towards the column of tanks is primarily reminiscing the event of the Tank Man in the Tiananmen Square in 1989, when a protester of Chinese government's policies came to the square during the military parade of the tanks and obstructed their advance. This scene was later turned into the symbol of protesting and objection. This scene's hint to the Tiananmen Square incident means expressing protest, and the Su phrase in the girl's name, Sun Tzu, means protest and complaint in both Chinese and English languages. On the other hand, the tiger painted on the Sun Tzu's cloth has various meanings in Chinese semiotics, and it is indicated in various references that 5 tigers with yellow, blue, red, black and white colors are responsible for keeping the world balanced and preventing it from collapse and chaos. And a yellow tiger, painted on Sun Tzu's cloth, commands the other 4 tigers. So, in this part of the animation, the yellow tiger is a symbol of China's initial disagreement with global chaos, or the Freemasonry and Illuminati's Ordo Ab Chao, and even the yellow tiger symbol on Sun Tzu's cloth is compatible with the current protesting scene. Because also, in this scene, the Chinese girl, who is the symbol of current China, is protesting against the policies of the massive Freemasonry and Illuminati army and causing the global chaos, which is compatible with the 33rd degree Masonic motto Ordo Ab Chao. Nevertheless, as we can see in the images, the flag in the hands of this Chinese girl is white, which means peace and avoiding war. Hence, it is a non-military objection. This notion is originated from the fact that China is a communist country and has its roots in socialism. As we had mentioned before, communism and socialism also derive from the great trunk of infidel Masonic views and share some basic beliefs. For instance, it was mentioned in a Masonic publication titled Turkish Mason that we should be supportive and on the side of the left-wing youngsters who have accepted the scientific and practical methods of Russia's Lodge and seek liberty, equality, honorable, and blissful lives, the number of which are fortunately increasing every day. They are our Masons without apron. They pursue and follow the indoor discussions of our temples outside the temple. They are our right arm. We will help them at any time, in any place, and in any situation. Considering this notion, the Chinese girls' protest with the white flag in front of the Masonic tanks in this scene means that the conflicts between China and global Freemasonry are not in principles and fundamentals, but there are differences within details in politics and economic fields. As for the 4th layer of the animation's analysis, the name of the Chinese girl finds incredible significance. In the animation producer's website, it is declared that the girl's name is Sun Tzu. Although it seems a Chinese name at first, it is made up of 2 different parts, which conceals important codes in itself. Although the phrases Sun and Tzu are meaningful in Chinese, they were intentionally chosen to be meaningful in English as well. Also, Sun implies the sun, the shining star in our galaxy, and has a very accurate relation with the yellow tiger on the back of Sun Tzu's cloth, because the yellow tiger is the symbol of the sun in Chinese semiotics. Therefore, Sun Tzu's character has a strong relation and serious devotion to the sun for 2 significant reasons. But it is surprising that, besides suing and complaint, the phrase Tzu also implies lily flower in English. Thus, the hidden code that catches the eye in Sun Tzu's name interprets as Lily or Lilith, who is sincere and passionate to the sun. In other words, there are also significant connections between the Chinese girl and the female devilish character Lilith in this scene, which confirms that the foundation of communist China is also based on infidel thoughts of which Freemasonry and Illuminati are also founded. Probably, the compatibility of Tzu and Lily or Lilith is another concept that explains the reason for the white flag of the Chinese girl. Also, the yin and yang symbol, seen at the beginning of this scene, is an ancient Chinese infidel symbol meaning 2 equal and opposite poles, and from a symbolic point of view, equals the Masonic hexagon star or hexagram. Meanwhile, the girl's name, Sun Tzu, is equivalent to yin and yang, because drawing the two yin and yang semicircles, the white semicircle, or yang, is the symbol of the sun, and the black semicircle is the symbol of the moon. Also, in Sun Tzu's name, character and cloth, sun means the sun, and the yellow tiger on the back of her cloth is the symbol of the sun and is equivalent to yang, which is a male phrase. On the other hand, the phrase Su, which means the lily flower, is equivalent to Lilith, a female infident demon character, and also her symbol is the moon. So, on Sun Tzu's name, cloth and character, there's such infidel and pagan balance in yin and yang, the moon and the sun, male and female, light and dark, and these infidel thoughts, which are cognate to other Masonic and pagan groups' infidel thoughts, have been emphasized. Considering the facts above, we can realize that the Communist Chinese government does not have a serious problem with the Illuminati in essence. Their views only diverge in political and economic issues. In the fifth layer analysis of this scene, we tackle the elements in the Chinese girl, Sun Tzu's face. As you can see, there are marks and tattoos on Sun Tzu's face. These marks and tattoos each have a specific meaning. For instance, the circle containing purple-yellow colors indicates China's challenges in the Age of Regulus star's entrance in purple color to the Virgo constellation, and the consequences of this astronomical event in Trump's era, yellow color, and the transformation of the USA and China's relationship. Additionally, the red heart on Sun Tzu's left cheek is indicating the heart of the Antichrist as per previous scenes. On macro dimensions, this shows that China's government does not have any issues with global Freemasonry plans for the return of the Antichrist to Jerusalem. However, in smaller dimensions, political and economic issues surrounding this event and other topics like the deal of the century shall severely affect China's stability. There are other marks on Sun Tzu's face that are related to China's contentions with other Masonic governments. For instance, the dispute over the islands in the South China Sea, as well as Syria, can be pointed out. These marks and tattoos on Sun Tzu's face point towards China government's conflicts and differences with other Masonic governments at the apocalypse. However, as we mentioned before, China's differences with other Masonic countries are not fundamental and they are united in general principles. A fact that is confirmed by elements such as the white flag as well as others. In the sixth layer, we look at the skeleton character. The name of this skeleton is mentioned as skullduggery on the animation maker's website. Skullduggery means an unscrupulous behavior along with the debauchery, treachery, and treason. In the beginning of the third millennia, many journalists and politicians consider the USA government in Trump era as the complete embodiment of the word skullduggery. Hence, in the animation I Pet Goat 2, whenever we come across a skullduggery character, its meaning is Donald Trump himself and the Trump era USA. In this scene as well, we see that when the Chinese girl, Sun Tzu, turns around and sees skullduggery's face, her anger subsides and then assumes an obedient and relaxed state. This means that in the Donald Trump era, China has out of compulsion also assumed an obedient, docile, and tame state in front of the global Freemasonry and Illuminati society's policies. In the seventh layer analysis of this scene, we deal with the symbology involving the diamond ring in skullduggery's hand. Diamond has various meanings from a symbology point of view. Diamond may mean authority, which completely corresponds with the red cloak worn by skullduggery and also means authority and dominance. The existence of the diamond ring in skullduggery's hand, concurrent with the red cloak worn by him, means that the Trump-era USA would deal with China in an authoritative way, resulting in China's complete obedience. On the other hand, it has been claimed in Chinese and Indian traditional medicine that diamond rings have a tranquilizing and relaxing effect. That is why Sun Tzu gets less anxious after being touched by skullduggery's diamond-wearing hand, which convinced her to stop her resistance in front of the Illuminati's movements. The other important point involving diamonds' symbology is that in ancient Roman beliefs, they presumed diamonds as the symbol of the fallen stars. The significant point is that fallen star is an expression used for the devil or Lucifer as well, which in both the Bible and devil worshippers' books may refer to the satanic and also his submissive angels. Hence, the application of diamond in this scene has an evil concept and indicates the fact that the Trump-era USA has attained international authority using the aid and guidance of Lucifer or the devil. The other point regarding the symbology of diamond is that it is the symbol of the seventh chakra in Hindu and Buddhist beliefs as well. The seventh chakra is the highest chakra and is known as the crown chakra. In Hindu and Buddhist beliefs, it is named as Om chakra or Sanasrara, and its corresponding place within the Kabbalah tree is upon the highest sphera, which is the crown or Kether or Krona sphera. The corresponding position of diamond with the seventh chakra or the crown sephirah in Kabbalah has a significance as well. Because in the Kabbalah tree, the closest tarot card to the crown sephirah is the full trump card. In addition, the seventh chakra is purple and is compatible with the color of the Regulus star, which is Donald Trump's lucky star, and plays an important role in the apocalyptic events of Freemasonry. Hence, in very deep layers, these symbols repeatedly connect diamond, seventh chakra, and the crown sephirah, that is the symbol of power and dominance, with skullduggery, the full tarot card, and the Regulus star, which are the symbols of the USA in Trump era. The Freemasonry and Illuminati have tried to use this link to transmit these codes and mysteries. Considering the aforementioned, it seems that the animation director's smart use of the diamond symbol in this scene is in the sense that the global Freemasonry and Illuminati, led by the Trump-era USA, are using the highest symbol of power, which is the seventh chakra or the same crown or Kether Sphero in the Kabbalah tree, in order to facilitate Antichrist's inauguration in Jerusalem in the time of the apocalypse. They are also using this symbol so that all Masonic powers as well as other infidel states, such as China and other submissive nations, are united in executing Illuminati's main goal, which is the deal of the century and Antichrist's inauguration in Jerusalem. In the eighth layer of this scene's analysis, we will review chamomile symbology. From a symbolic point of view, chamomile means sun god, which has a significant and accurate relation with the ancient Egyptian sun god or Ra, that is Illuminati and Freemasonry's favorite deity. It is also equivalent to the yellow tiger picture on Sun Tzu's clothes, which is a symbol of the sun in semiotics. There are numerous properties enumerated for chamomile in the traditional medicine of various ancient nations, such as sedation and decreasing tension and anxiety. Considering this point, we realize that one of the reasons for Sun Tzu's calm and relaxation in this scene of the animation is seeing the chamomile flower. Because on the one hand, the name of this Chinese girl is Sun Tzu, which means a lily or Lilith, who is under command and dependent on the sun, and the sun god Ra of the ancient Egypt. On the other hand, the soothing effects of chamomile reduce Sun Tzu's anxiety and calm her. Hence, chamomile next to diamond complement each other's relaxing and anti-stress attributes. These two elements carried by skullduggery end her anger and soothe her. This part of the scene also confirms the analysis that in addition to Trump-era America's authority and dominance, the companionship of Illuminati-related elements with the USA and Illuminati's global plan for starting a global government in Jerusalem shall pressure the Chinese government into obedience and accompaniment as well. Within the ninth layer analysis of this scene, observing the purple-colored firework in the sky behind skullduggery and also his use of the blow tickler, we can conclude that this scene is probably transmitting this cryptic message that the time in which China will finally bow its head in obedience and submissiveness to the USA is related to a national celebration. Considering the fact that the New Year celebrations are done at the end of December and beginning of January, and China's New Year occurs a little while afterwards at the end of January and beginning of February, as well as the fact that both celebrations include fireworks and national festivals. The time of China's surrendering to Freemason dignitaries led by the Trump-era America is around the Christian and Chinese New Year between December and February. Also taking into account the fact that the highly contagious, fatal, and dangerous COVID-19 was originated from China about the time of December through February, the time in which China surrenders to Trump-era America's dominance as the leader of the Freemasonry and Illuminati proceedings is possibly related to the period in which coronavirus was spread from Wuhan and caused the largest number of fatalities and challenges for China for weeks. This event may lead to China's flexibility towards the global Freemasonry and Illuminati society, especially the United States, as the leader of these proceedings. Of course, in the mass media, China has claimed that it controlled the disease, but there's ample evidence that many countries in the world are hiding the exact number of COVID-19 casualties, and China is unlikely to be an exception. However, we shall examine the coronavirus pandemic of 2019 and deliver further evidence regarding the fact that it may have been intentional and an act of bioterrorism. Considering the presented analysis concerning different layers of this scene, we can summarize that the concept of this scene is China's complete surrender to global Freemasonry and Illuminati's military, political, and economical powers led by the Trump-era America. However, this fact is not so far-fetched and impossible, bearing in mind that the Masonic and infidel roots of Communist China and its lack of divergence with Freemasons and principles and fundamentals. The final blow and pressure on China will be made during the Christian and Chinese New Year, meaning about December to February, which may be related to the COVID-19 pandemic at the beginning of 2020. The consequence of China's secret and sneaky surrender and obedience will be its companionship with other Masonic governments in executing the deal of the century, beginning of Antichrist's inauguration in Jerusalem and establishment of the New World Order by the single government in Jerusalem or Beit al-Maqdis. However, as we will mention, this wishful thinking shall not come to pass, and the Antichrist shall be destroyed before his global rule has even begun. In the next scene, we see Antichrist riding Anubis' boat through the mist. He's still sleeping, however, his body moves like drunk people. This scene means that the Antichrist marches on free from the entire clamor around him. In the new scene, we see the serpentine dragon named Draco, or the Devil, is still brainwashing and mind-controlling Ludovic. As we had mentioned before, Ludovic is a young Christian of Western societies who has been brainwashed by Draco or the Devil. His blue eyes indicate that he is of European or American descent. In addition, most of the people resembling Ludovic in the Western countries create the major body of the global Christianity. This shows that, unfortunately, the minds of these youngsters have been indoctrinated by evil media outlets via the vigorously conducted process called mind control. In the next scene, we see the Antichrist riding an Anubis boat through a galactic atmosphere through 4 square frames. These 4 square frames are the 4 Kabbalistic worlds called Atzilith, Beria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. The scene, while indicating derived Kabbalistic beliefs, shows that the Antichrist shall pass the 4 worlds before awakening. The important point that needs attention in this scene is the start of the Antichrist's movement through the midst of a nebula. The aforementioned nebula indicates the Xibalba region in Mayan Native American beliefs and the infidel beliefs of the Mayans. Xibalba is where the gods of the underworld reside. In any case, Mayans believe that the Milky Way galaxy in the sky is also a road towards Xibalba. The other important point that we can allude to is that in the famous movie The Fountain, which was made by Darren Aronofsky, who is a famous Jewish Kabbalist director, the Orion Nebula is introduced as the location of Xibalba.
Go on, look.
You
see it?
The gold star?
It's actually a nebula wrapped around a dying star. That's what makes it look gold. What? I took science.
When?
Junior high. The Mayans called it Xibalba.
Xibalba?
It was their underworld. A place that dead souls go to be reborn.
What are you talking about?
My book. I'm writing about it.
I thought it took place in Spain.
Begins there. Ends there.
Are you done?
Almost.
Good. When do I read it?
Someday soon it will explode, die, and give birth to new stars. How amazing that the Mayans chose a dying star to represent their underworld.
We're almost there. make it. I won't let you die.
Considering what was mentioned, it would seem that this scene as well is indicating that the Antichrist's movement through the center of a nebula is in fact the start of his movement from Xibalba, or the place of Mayan gods in the underworld. Of course, the belief that the start of the Antichrist's movement has been from the place of the Mayan gods of the underworld is related to other images within the animation that show the Antichrist starting his movement through mist and darkness on Anubis' boat. Because, as Xibalba indicates the underworld in Mayan beliefs, Anubis also indicates the underground cities of the dead in ancient Egyptian beliefs, both of which are equivalent. It is clear that there are many contradictions within these false, deviated, evil beliefs, and the connection between a constellation in the sky and underground is an illogical and irrational one. However, unfortunately, in the dogged, deviated, infidel beliefs of the Freemasons and Illuminati, who connect these beliefs to the infidel ancient nations, such superstitions for denying divine beliefs and teachings of the prophets are abundant. In the next scene, we see the Antichrist lighting an egg-like sphere with his fiery breath, and then entering a lit-up, cavernous place. In symbology discussions, an egg means production and birth. Hence, the sphere being lit up by the Antichrist indicates that the time of his rise is coming closer. There's an important point here, and that is the border between the caves. The new cavernous area in this scene resembles the end of the human throat. Furthermore, where this egg-like sphere is hanging resembles the uvula. This image is reminiscent of the apocalyptic beliefs in some Christian denominations, which state that the Antichrist is living in the belly of the beast and shall exist at the end of all time. Therefore, this scene is reflecting the Antichrist's awakening as he exits the belly of the beast through its mouth. In the next scene, we see the blue child, or Nufem Blue, is wearing a mask of Kali, the Hindu goddess, as he's preparing to dance around the flame. Kali's mask has an important characteristic, and after some moments, Kali's tongue comes out of her mouth, which we shall discuss in more depth in subsequent scenes. As it was mentioned before, in Blue Child's description on the animation's website, it is said that he is the keeper of the flame. We shall speak more about this character as well as Kelly in later scenes. In the new scene, we see again that Antichrist is riding on Anubis' boat. As he moves forward, a group of fish suddenly rise from the depth of the water and insanely jump out to throw themselves at the Antichrist's feet. This scene requires further analysis. In the first layer analysis of this scene, we should pay attention that the fish jumping from the water at Antichrist's feet in an act of sacrifice are called angelfish. In symbology, the angelfish is the symbol of unconditional love and unquestioning acceptance. Therefore, this fact has been cryptically indicated that, at the beginning of Antichrist's activities, many of his followers shall become fond of him and follow his orders unreservedly. In the second layer analysis of this scene, we should pay attention to the angelfish family, which is a great one consisting of a variety of fish in different shapes and colors. In this scene, we see that the aforementioned angelfish is of a black and white color type called zebra angelfish. In addition to indicating the two opposing and equal natural forces and infidel beliefs, the black and white colors seen in this fish point towards two parallel worlds in black and white, which are the worlds of the jinns and humans. Similar to this type of symbology, we mentioned that the black and white checkered floor of the classroom showed the combination of black and white in the sense of the worlds of the jinns and humans. The existence of black and white colors in these angelfish that unconditionally and insanely jump out of the water and sacrifice themselves at the Antichrist's feet on Anubis' boat means that the Antichrist has devotees among both humans and jinns that unreservedly serve him and sacrifice themselves to aid the establishment of the devil government in Jerusalem.